Hey team, we are back with another episode of CloudStream, and I'm really lucky today. I captured some of the leaders in our Tanzu organization for about 30 minutes and dragged them onto a live video call to share with the rest of the internet. And I really appreciate their time. I do want to make a shout out to the Southeast because we are all based in the Southeast. And I love it when I get to talk to folks that are in our backyards, right? So we're going to start off with an introduction from Mary, and then we'll have an intro from Roger. Mary, you want to give yourself a little bit of an intro, and then we'll have Roger give us an intro as well.
Sure. Hi, I'm Mary Oakley, and I work for Tanzu, and I lead the Globals team as well as Canada and North America. I've been at Tanzu now for about 4 months, and I'm glad to be here. It's great.
Nice. Roger?
I got to get off mute. Good morning. It's good morning. I'm Roger Egan. I run the global go-to-market and field organization for the Modern Application Platform Business Unit. So as Mary just said, better known as Tanzu. So it's good to be here. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah. So one thing that I like about the Tanzu team in general, having been a part of it, is that we combined, I think on this call, probably have 100 years of experience. And yeah, I know, right? It's
I think Mary and I alone probably have 100 years of experience.
And for those of us that have been in enterprise technology for a long time, you may be familiar with Mary's face because you probably have seen her at one capacity or another. And as big as the world is today, especially with modern technologies, it's still pretty small. And I really think that one of the great parts of being on the Tanzu team is helping organizations make new technology adoption with existing systems easier. And I think this is one of the general goals that a lot of us face as we're mid-career or we're working through this. And Mary, I think kind of my first question goes to you here. How do organizations make new technology adoption decisions with existing systems in place? You gotta pedal the bike and build a new one. Is that what you're seeing? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, it's we see this a lot today, this question, and it's really assessing through POCs, training, just gaining knowledge. But I think the first thing is just assessing and figuring out what is most critical and what is most urgent, and then figuring out a plan. And that's what we help customers do every day, is really the assess and then come back and put a plan together and then go execute.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was you that taught me this, but I want to say, in one of our many calls, you laid down some wisdom, and you said to me, as a customer, you're either facing a decision around risk, right? Is it going to be something that helps me reduce the risk, right, for my technology decision? Is it going to be something about revenue? Does it help me boost my revenue or increase my profitability? Or is it going to be something about operational, like efficiency, right? It reduces costs, increases or boosts efficiency. And I really appreciated that framework when you lent me that knowledge, and it was very helpful. And I think one of the questions that we certainly see a lot at VMware, and especially within Tanzu, is how does cloud native operations and development teams, how do they kind of face these different challenges? And I mean, as long as I've been in technology, a CIO once sat me down and said, "There's ops and there's apps, and those two will never meet." And I thought, no, not the way that the world's going forward now. And I'd love to get your perspective. What does cloud native mean to kind of the operations teams and the development teams as you're having conversations in the field, and probably hundreds more than I am, for sure?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that we hear most is, the developers, they just want to code, right? They just want something easy. They can go, write their code and move on, right? So that's really kind of what we focus on, is how to make it easy for the developers. And same thing with operations. I mean, they want something that can scale up, scale down. And again, we work hand in hand with our customers and our partners and make sure that we focus on that because they have really two different objectives. And what we are, building solutions to kind of bring those two together because when they come together, it's great things for the business, right? So it's all those things that we do together, worry about security, resiliency, being agile. I mean, it's not like sometimes they're buzzwords, but it's something we can actually make happen when we bring the two worlds together.
Yeah, and one challenge that I'm hearing a lot overall, is that when customers already have multiple deployments into the cloud, they have their data center, obviously that has some of their critical apps in it. They're trying to figure out how to make these services work across these different operating platforms, right? A lot of times these technology decisions have already been made and funded, and they're trying to figure out, how do I get this whole operation to work together? I'm curious, when you talk to customers, are you also talking to them about skill sets that exist in the organization and how they sort of work towards making sure those skill sets are compatible in your discussions?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the critical things a standard platform brings, right? So you have that platform and you know that platform, and no matter which cloud you choose or whether it's on-prem or the multi-hybrid cloud, that is one of the the biggest assets to having a standard platform is being able to know one thing that can go multi-cloud versus having groups that only know one cloud.
Yeah, and I think there's another key here operationally, and that is, what does efficiency look like? Because if you are building an organization that has to operate across many IaaSes or infrastructures and many platforms or perhaps clouds, depending on how you define these things, you can't have a special snowflake for each one of those things. I mean, you could, but at some point your CFO is going to sit you down and have that hard conversation about, well, we're spending a lot on this, et cetera. And one thing I like about the way that we engage as a team is that we help customers build better operating models. And this comes from the rich history we have as VMware. I feel like we know how they scale up and we know what they've had to do and invest to get to where they are. And I think that's pretty enjoyable. Now, Roger, I know you're not up yet, but I'd love to hear if you have a perspective here, because I did see your head nodding. So either you're yelling at your dog or you're one of the.
I was yelling at my dog. No. Look, I think the challenges here are complexity, right? There's a lot of complexity to doing this, and I think that needs to be addressed as sort of we approach our customers. I think we do a good job with that, and I think migrating applications isn't enough, right? I think sometimes customers feel like, hey, job A is let's get the apps moved to the cloud, right? And if you migrate the applications to the cloud and you don't worry about DevOps, if you don't worry about the apps, then you're really not going to get what Mary just talked about, right? You're not going to get the developer efficiency that you need, and the tools to go do that are extremely complex today. There's a ton of them out there, right? And what we're doing is rationalizing that and delivering solutions to our customers that sort of contemplate people, process, and technology, right? And all of those three things have to happen if you're going to be able to transform an organization and take advantage of what this technology brings to bear. So I think we do that very well. I know we do that very well. And our goal is to be able to scale it out through our partners and make sure that around the world we're disseminating that everywhere.
Yeah, and I think one thing that is hard to understand about complexity, and I feel, Roger, this is something that the sales team sees day in and day out, is that nobody gets to walk into an organization and make a greenfield decision. They are all dealing with the decisions made before them and the limits on their ability or latitude to make decisions. And this is, it took me a long time to get to that point, because when I was fresh out of college thinking, oh, I'm just going to code up something and it'll be able to run forever. Those are not things that persist. in any decision-making process in any larger organization. So I really like that. Now, I think one thing that I'm curious about, going back to Mary here, Mary, when you're in the field and you're seeing customers on a regular basis, or you're talking to your teams and you're helping them understand what common themes are. One thing that I found when I was in sales is that a lot of times, you're trying to help a customer understand a new space or a new way of looking at something so that they can gain efficiency or lower their risk or increase their security. And so there were often a lot of misunderstandings, right? There was always yeah, I got that. I know how it works. And then later on, you'd find out, well, maybe you don't really clearly understand what this will do for your organization or how it'll benefit you. I'm curious as to what you kind of see as common misunderstandings about technology transformation or platforms, et cetera. What your thoughts are on that?
I think that the one misconception is that some of this is easy, right? That it's, just put in a new technology and it works, and it's not easy. And this is one of those. It's one thing we hear from customers is you really need to have a partnership, and you really need to have some patience, and you have to go through some iterations. But once you get through that, you actually see and realize the benefits. And I think that's probably one of the biggest thing is just that, it just is plug and play, and it's not plug and play. You have to kind of work through it to make it work, and it's not easy. And I think the other misconception is that one of the benefits of cloud native and this, app modernization is cost. And it's really not. I mean, you do get some cost savings, but it's the other benefits that you see that outweigh the cost, really, right? Is the security, the agility, the flexibility, and just the rapid pace of the innovation that you actually bring.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting. One thing that I observed in this change between a lot of the premise-based solutions and a lot of the cloud-based solutions is that costs are very difficult to understand. And I know y'all all happen to be parents. And I remember the first time I got a cell phone bill for my daughter. And I was like, well, what is this? And how did you manage to add cost to an unlimited plan? Please explain. I feel like, this is a CFO type discussion a lot of times, right? Where people they're like, well, they said it cost this, but now we're doing that. And also, what are all those things over there? Like, what is this bill of 1,000 line items that we have to go through? I feel like anybody is faced with a challenge there. Have you had those conversations with customers, and what are they kind of looking for when they tend to have those more complexity cost discussions with you?
I think one of the things we're trying to look for is just is predictability, right? No one likes surprises, just like you don't like getting that cell phone bill that, you get this, it's been standard for so long every month and you get a big jump. It's really just having predictability and understanding. I mean, really a total cost of, I've heard it for years, a total cost of ownership. That's understanding what you're paying for your people, the time, the tools. So it's really just having an overall view of that.
Nice. Yeah. So Mary, you're off the hot seat. Did a great job. Thank you so much. And Roger, you're on. So, if you have to introduce us to your pup at some point, I think that's fine. This will be our first show where we get to meet a dog. That'd be awesome. So
he was in here a minute ago. He's turned a year yesterday. He's a cute bastard.
Oh, nice. We have two lab puppies that are COVID puppies, and they are a menace. Yeah. One thing that's interesting about your experience is that you have the view across the entire, I call it industry community, and you see trends as they're happening, right? Over in the marketing side of the house, we get to do things like research studies where you get to have in-person, in-depth conversations, and not to put us down, but I love that. I love that you have that sort of pulse. And I think one of the things that's interesting is in your time in Tanzu, what's the biggest change you've observed for customers that are making technology decisions, right? So obviously complexity plays into this, the financial picture, but I'm curious overall, like what are the biggest changes you're seeing?
I joined during COVID, right?
Yeah.
So for the first 9 or 12 months, I never physically met anyone at VMware. I've known Mary for probably, I don't want to say how long I've known Mary, right? But I'll age myself for a long time. We worked together at Red Hat and IBM and a lot of different places, and now here, and thrilled to have her here. I think, this COVID thing has really put a focus on applications, right? If you think about how we interact with every company in the world, more now than ever, right? Your online presence, your back-end systems, it's all about apps, right?
Yeah.
You think about some of the customers that we've been public with and what we've done, like Fiserv, right? And you think about what we had to do for, the Pay Plan Protection Act and getting all of those dollars out quickly to those financial institutions. And sure, they built it on our platform, but the how, as we discussed before, was just as important, right? And brought our services team in, and literally within 6 weeks went from nothing to a complete new platform and application suite, front end, back end connected, so that they could deploy literally billions of dollars out to institutions that impacted everybody in the world, right, in the Americas, right? So those are big deals. I mean, there are other customers. I'm thinking about pharmaceuticals, payers, providers, lab testing. A lot of people don't know, right? But a lot of those COVID tests that you're taking and the results that come back on your mobile phone, I can't name the particular company. It was all built with our people and our technology in literally 6 to 8 weeks, right? So I think now it's become, what COVID's done and what this new world has done is shine a light on our customers, even the ones that you wouldn't even think would be thinking about it, on the importance of applications to the very being and sort of everything that they do. It's not just, as you discussed before, it's not just cost savings. It's not just it's top line, right? So when we walk into our customers today, we know we're in that, and that allows us to have a much more strategic discussion around this technology set. So, I mean, for me, that's the biggest thing that I've seen in the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I think that's it. And what's crazy is, just as our customer business models have changed, so have our has our sales focus and our sales teams, as we focus on what those problems are. I know for a fact, like right now, a couple of the larger problems are actually in understanding what that digital experience is like. So observability is a huge problem for our customers. They built these amazing things, and this is where I love Tanzu as well as VMware's platform. And now they need to figure out how well they're working.
Yeah, well, I think and we've all been doing this long enough, as you cited, right? Close to 100 years. We'll have to do that math. Yeah. But the thing about technology companies is everybody wants to talk about the tech.
Yep.
Everybody wants to talk about the bits and bytes, right? And when you work in a company like VMware, or when you've had the experience like Mary and I of working in a company like IBM, and when you've been in a specialist organization, and then you've been, as both Mary and I have been, client execs, client directors running large accounts with multiple products, you sort of see the world in two different ways. And the advantage is you recognize that it's almost like a gravitational force, right? You want to talk about the bits and bytes, like Tanzu Observability, absolutely a key to a modern application platform. You know what? So is Tanzu Build Service. So is Application Catalog. So is the runtime. We could talk about and mission control, right? We could talk about that all day long. But at the end of the day, it's about what problem are you trying to solve and why is it important to your customer, right? And Mary is a leader now for the globals, and me running, the global organization. I literally spend a lot of my time reminding everyone, what are the apps and what are the problems that customer that we're solving? And you'd be surprised how often, which is changing, we don't know that, right? And we need to do that. I was on a call last night with a great person, a woman who runs Asia Pac for us, Roz, and we were talking about this, and she said, I go in, and actually her boss told me this, who runs Asia Pac, about her. She doesn't know this. Hopefully she's not watching. Doubt she's not.
It's nighttime. Everyone's asleep.
I get, she works 24 hours a day. She walks into customers and she says, what's the biggest challenge you have? That's how it starts, right? And Kip Cole runs Asia Pac for me. He said, you would be amazed how customers respond to that, and then how that starts to completely change the conversation, because it's about the application of the technology. It's about delivering total solutions. And look, selfishly, the reason I came to VMware is I know we have the technology. I know we have the scale. I know we have a unique position in the industry, in that we're not building an opinionated stack for a particular technology or a particular cloud service provider. We have the unique ability, along with our services, our partners, and our technology, to deliver that transformational value and have those conversations. That's why this is the tip of the spear. It's the most important thing in VMware today, right? It's about multi-cloud and modern apps, right? And the reason is because that's where we can deliver the most value. And 9 out of 10 times, it's the most important thing that every CIO and CTO wants to talk about.
Absolutely. I think one thing, so what I like is that you encapsulated there kind of the past, and now I'm going to ask a future question. So let's put your futurist hat on and see how you do here. So this one is really about everyone who follows tech right now knows that technology spending is accelerating as we come out of COVID, which is natural, right? We see folks investing in things that they kind of ignored for a little while, and other pressures, that are kind of happening. When we return to business as normal, where do you see the pressure being for large enterprise tech, right? What are they going to have to be able to deploy and deliver? And this is really a question about how does that change their business focus? Where does that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, what are they going to have to deliver? I mean, we just talked about it, right? They're going to have to deliver a, differentiated business value. I think Mary talked about the importance of, the most important person in every organization right now is the developer. Every company is becoming a software company. We all know that. So the question is, how do we at VMware, from my vantage point, deliver that value in sort of a unique way? And what are we doing to sort of speed and accelerate that, right? And, because that's really what it's about. Do you deliver a business outcome, and what's your time to value, right?
Yeah.
How quickly, how quickly can you deliver that time to value? We're fairly obsessed with that, right? So what we're doing is focusing on reference architectures, bundles of all of our technology that can be deployed very quickly in a repeatable way for our customers. I think when we approach customers, the most important thing is to rationalize the application portfolio, right? You have to walk in and say, most of our customers have 500 plus applications they're running. They're running on 3 to 4 to 5 clouds, if you include on-prem and data centers associated with that. So complexity is accelerating everywhere. So when you talk about the platform, it's also about what applications are you going to prioritize to put on the platform, which ones you're going to run on-prem, which ones you're going to run in the cloud. It's part of a strategic conversation that you have to have with the customer if you're interested in the how, right? So we talk a lot about that. From our vantage point, what I'm excited about, if we're going to talk about tech for a minute, is, we do that with an application navigator, right? As you well know, to do that assessment. But I think the application transformation tool that we're rolling out now is really cool, right? Which is a tool that allows you to introspect in the environment, understand what applications are running, look at dependencies, and allow you to, in an automated fashion, containerize those applications and accelerate what you're doing. So the suite of tools that we have, the services that we have, and the tech that we have is allowing us to really deliver value much more quickly to our customers.
Yeah, and what I actually love about that is that leads into this last point that, one thing is that we all have worked in organizations where we sell software. That's never been a question to me. But one thing that changed my perspective on how we go to market and how we help customers is I call this the secret weapon for anybody wondering how does Tanzu do it. And you mentioned the PPP loan program, and you mentioned how we supported sort of the national distribution into testing, et cetera. And this would not have been possible with just software, right? What we bring into these organizations that have to transform is this, I call it the lab stack, because it really is an integrated offering of people, process, and tech. We help you, and I call that the secret weapon. I'm curious, what are your thoughts once you kind of discovered that secret sauce?
Yeah, I was amazed about a lot of things when I walked into VMware. I think Mary was as well, right? When you think about the investment that VMware has made over the past 2 to 3 years and the compilation of all the different technologies, right? When you think about obviously Pivotal, you think about Pivotal Labs, which is now Tanzu Labs. You think about Bitnami, you think about Heptio, you can go on and on, right? Wavefront, right? You mentioned TO. There's a lot here, right, to go put together. They're great assets, and I've named probably 30% of them, right? But what we know is, and listen, I joined Docker in 2014.
Right.
I was the 24th employee there, right? I was there when Craig and Joe Beta, they announced Kubernetes at DockerCon 1 in a Marriott hotel in the middle of San Francisco with 400 people, and it looked like a large wedding, right?
Right.
This is and by the way, everybody wore a hoodie, and I was the oldest guy in the room, right? So we've seen this, right? But what I've seen over the last 6 or 7 years is what people like Mary and me, who were at IBM for a long time, and I won't tell you how long, know, right? It's about the application of the technology to solve the business problem. And what's happened over the last 6 or 7 years, and this technology has been applied for a long time now, right? Containers were made mainstream because of Docker, right? Icon, Solomon did it in 2013. Open source was crazy, and it was the baseline of enabling sort of abstraction of dependencies and applications away from the underlying tech, and that allowed us to do just amazing things. But here's the trick, right? The trick is, to your point, it's not all about the tech, it's about the how. And so now that I'm in VMware and I see the power and I see the capabilities and I see the proven track record of what our services organization has done, it actually is a secret weapon, right? I'll give you another example, right? Army Futures Command, you know this one, right?
Yeah, I love this one.
I had the opportunity to go down to Austin for sort of the opening of that, right? And I was there with the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the second in command of every branch of the military, right? And the night before, I said, I'll go to this nice ceremony. And the colonel who is running this thing says, so Roger, you're looking forward to having you participate tomorrow. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? Colonel Vito, if you're out there, he's a great guy, right, from upstate.
Yeah.
So we get on this panel, and here I am sitting in front of the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and literally every branch of the military around. And there's like every second, third, fourth in command, the people that carry everything around him are sitting behind him, right? And he says, listen, the next battleground for the United States is cyber. Mission, and I'm paraphrasing, and what we're launching here is we are launching and we are training warfighters how to become coders.
Yeah.
Do you know who's in the central? Do you know who's running that with the U.S. Department of Defense? We are.
Yeah.
Right. So, and why do they come to do that? Right. Because it's not just about, by the way, they're deploying our technology. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the people to go do that, then what have you really achieved? So when you talk to a CIO, a CTO, a CEO, and every company's becoming a software company, and it's not just about taking your Java-based applications and redeploying them onto containers and moving them somewhere. It's about fundamentally transforming how you deliver software. There's no one in the world, in my opinion, who is better suited to do that, who has a better track record of success in doing that than we do. So I'm excited, obviously, about it. I'm thrilled to be a part of it, and I think it's an example of the value that we deliver to our customers by delivering complete solutions. Right?
Yeah, I love it, and I believe that it's going to power the next generation of tech, because having the technology is not as good as understanding the outcomes that you need to drive for the business with.
And the other thing that's important to note is, it's hard for me to believe, but what is it, 2021, right? So that's, 2014 is a long time ago, 7 years ago. And you would think, hey, 7 years, this stuff's got to be nailed, right? This is mature technology. It's not, right? This is still incubating. It's still in its very infancy.
Yes.
But look, that's the value that companies like VMware bring to the table, right? We take, all of this value and add it on top of the value that we've delivered to customers for many years and deliver more business outcome and transformation to them. So it's good to be a part of it.
Well, Roger and Mary, believe it or not, you have squandered 30 minutes with me, and I know you're going to go back to crushing quota after this. But I just wanted to thank you both. I know it's busy times for you. And I look forward to, our next discussion where maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the new things that are going to be announced and where they fit and how they can help customers, that kind of stuff. Thanks again. And I hope to see you all soon in person. I think that would be exciting. Take care.
Thanks for the opportunity.